Hi friends, welcome back to my channel and welcome back to another crazy week of winter market prep and then another winter market. So this will be weekend 2 at the same venue I was at last weekend. So basically all of my setup is still there, but I really need to prep so much for next weekend because last weekend honestly was so good already, and I don't think that this market is going to slow down for weekend 2, so we really have our work cut out for us. I also have quite a lot of open orders online, so we will get to making and packing those as well this week. It's currently Wednesday, so I only have basically 2 more days until I'm going back to my market. So I've already been quite busy this week. I wrote out a whole list of plushies I wanted to restock for weekend 2 of my market. So let me show you and read you off what I'm planning to make. You can already tell that I've been quite busy because quite a lot of that is already filled in. So I'm feeling pretty good about that. So basically I wanted to restock quite a lot of my bestsellers of the past couple of weeks, but especially my best sellers or like really good sellers at this event last weekend, because I'm thinking that these will probably do pretty well on weekend 2 as well, because it's probably going to be kind of like the same vibe as weekend 1. At least that's what I'm thinking. So first of all, we of course have on my list my top 2 bestsellers, I think, of this year. We have baby octos and baby whales. And for the baby octos, I actually had quite a lot of the bodies made already, like before weekend 1. I prepped quite a lot of them, but I never finished them up. So I have 12 on my list, which were all of the bodies that I had prepped before, and I have finished up all of them already. They're in my huge plushie bag for this week already. This feels kind of crazy. So we have, let me go through that and show you what I am talking about. So I prepped them in basically 3 different colors. I made 5 in this bright blue, 5 in this medium blue, and then 2 in this turquoise. And these colors are basically the ones that I didn't restock the week before. So the week before I restocked mostly like pinks, purples, orange, red, all of that. So now all of the cool toned colors were kind of low, so I restocked those. I finished all 12 of them, so they're completely finished on this list. And then for baby whales, I wanted to make 10 of them. I didn't have any prepped, but these are like super quick to make, so I finished all of those yesterday, and I made 2 in each color. I made 2 light blue, 2 medium blue, 2 turquoise, 2 baby pink, and then 2 bright pink little guys. So all 10 of them are completed now. And then I also ended up selling completely out of my brontosauruses at weekend 1 of this market. So I set myself a goal of prepping 5 more of them for next weekend. I already started working on that while I was at my market. So I prepped 4 dino bodies and 3 of them I've already finished up. So I have 2 of these green little guys, and this is usually the most popular color, so I made 2 of those. And as I said, I prepped the bodies at the market, so I basically crocheted the legs and then all the way up to like the very top, and I didn't finish the last row of them so I could stuff them at home and add the eyes in. And then of course I had to make the tail for them at home as well. So 2 in this green and then 1 in this super bright red, and then the other 2 that I'm currently working on, I haven't finished them, are both in this super bright green. So this one just needs a tail added, and then the other one I don't have currently to show you because it's back at home. I basically just have the legs done though, so I still have quite a lot to do for that one. So 3 done, 2 more to go for those. And then basically everything else that's in this bag are penguins and mallards. So I made 5 purple penguins and 5 blue penguins. because I didn't have any of them for weekend 1. So I took the yarn to work on penguin bodies on Friday, and I ended up prepping 5 in each of those colors just to see how they will do on weekend 2, to have some of those in stock and see if they will do well for this market. And then the other plushies that are finished that are in this bag are all mallard ducks. So I have finished 10 of them this week. I didn't prep them this week. I made the bodies, I think it was last week, like just during the week I prepped all of them, and I've just now finished them up. So quite a lot of those in here. So I've already crossed all of them off my list. So the 2 bottom rows are completely finished. And then what else do I want to prep this week? So we have the 2 dinos that I want to finish up. I also on my list have 3 more hoodie bears, which you all know is one of my obsessions, and apparently customers at this market really love this one as well. So I ended up selling all 3 that I still had, so I'm completely sold out of them. So I want to make 3 of them this week, and I've already of course started working on the first one. So this little guy is almost completed. He's still missing his ears, so he's just a funky little guy currently, and his nose and the face shaping, but otherwise it's completely finished. So it's like a little party hoodie, a kind of like black galaxy themed hoodie, and I really like the look of this one. So I will hopefully finish this one up today, and then I still want to make 2 more. I'm thinking like 1 frog and 1 strawberry bear, but we will see. I really want to work on those this week. And then what was really popular at this market were my cats. So I sold 10 of them last weekend, and I really want to prep 10 more for next weekend. I've already started to work on the first one. So we have a completely gray little kitty. It still needs its face, of course, and a tail. So I really need to work on these this week. I only have 3 more left in my inventory. And then something that really surprised me was my chickens. So they were actually kind of popular at this market. I have a singular one left. So just to restock a couple of them, I want to make 5. That's 5 chickens this week. I've already started to work on one. This one was almost finished. I had like worked on the body quite a long time ago, and I only had to finish the final row for this one because I had run out of yarn. I lost yarn chicken on a chicken. So I ended up finishing the body for this one, and I want to make 4 more of those and of course finish them up. So that is the plushie goal for this week. Quite ambitious if you read through the whole list, but I think I've already made quite a good dent in that. So I think we can actually get this done. And then something else that I really need to work on this week are my candles. I usually don't talk a lot about them on this channel, but they've been so popular that I really want to include them in this week's prep. And I kind of need to include them in this week's prep because I need to make like 100 of them for the next weekend. I also sold quite a lot of them on Etsy. I had a little bit of a cyber sale going on for like Black Friday, Cyber Monday, and quite a lot of previous customers ended up purchasing some more candles or like some refills. So I need to get busy with that as well this week. So yeah, 100 candles to be prepped. That's kind of like a crazy number. You can already see I have all of my vessels prepped on the shelf behind me. I still need to add the wicks to them. I currently am melting my wax because that kind of like takes a long time. So I already started that before talking your ear off about everything that I've already worked on this week. So I will go ahead and check on that in just a little bit. And today is like my candle making, pouring evening day. So it's already kind of getting dark, but my goal is to hopefully pour all 100 candles today. Like these vessels on this side are completely prepped. They're sanded and sealed, and the ones on this side are not. So I still need to do that for over half of them. So I really have my work cut out for both of my product types this week. For now, as I said, I will be working on candles and hopefully pouring all of them today so they can kind of set tomorrow and I can finish them by Friday.
getting crisper, the leaves are all but gone. Those kids are making lists for Santa. You see those smiles beaming, they outshine the sun. Whoa, the freshly fallen snow, big clouds beyond the...
Hey friends, it's now Friday, so it is day one of my market, but it doesn't start until 2 today, so I still have a little bit of time in the morning. It's actually quite early today, so I have a good chunk of time left before I have to leave for the market. I'm planning to leave at like 12:30 so that I can set up my product again. I took all of that down and basically just have the bare bones of my setup still standing. I will need to take out all of the candles that I left over there, and then of course take all of those and take all of my plushies which are back at home and set those out again. So I think 12:30 is perfect for me to leave. Until then I need to pack up all of these candles that I made. You see only half of them, so here is the rest of them. So that is what I ended up doing yesterday. I finished all of those up yesterday so that I can now just pack them up. I still need to add the sticker, like the safety label, and then the dust cover as well for all of them. So I think I will still be quite busy with packing all of those up. But I also crocheted a little bit since the last time I spoke to you, so I wanted to show you that. I showed you on Wednesday that I was working on another hoodie bear because people at this market have been loving them and I'm completely out of them. So I wanted to make some more this week, and this is the one that I finished. So the little galaxy theme, I really like this one. I think I did a pretty good job at the face shaping. So I think I'm getting the hang of it now, and I really like these guys still. So I'm glad that I got one of these finished. I wanted to make 3, but I ended up making only this one. And then last night we had Thursday night family dinner as we usually do. And I took all of the yarn to make some cats because I desperately need some. So I made quite a lot of them. I made 2 black tuxedo cats, and I just finished them up last night when I got back home. So I made the bodies while I was out, and then I just finished them once I got back. I made an orange little guy, and then 2 solid colored cats, so 1 dark gray and then 1 beige. So 5 little kitties completed. And then I ended up working on 1 more, but I didn't get to finish it while I was out. So I still have this one, which will be a gray, kind of like in the same style as this one. So like the same fur pattern as this one. And I really want to finish that one up today before my market. And I think that's definitely possible. And then I also finished up the bright green brontosaurus. So we now have made 4 of them. I wanted to make 5. I don't think I will get done with the one that I'm currently working on. So my goal for after I clean up all of these candles and pack them up, I will actually head home, have kind of like a chill rest of the morning, because honestly I'm kind of feeling all of the markets. I'm kind of like a little bit exhausted, so I'm looking forward to have like a chill crochet morning without much going on. So my goal for then is to finish up this cat and hopefully work on another hoodie bear. That would be my priorities for this morning after I finish all of these candles. So that is what I will do. As I said, want to take a chill. So I think the next time you will see me is either on my way to the venue or back at the venue. Hi friends, so I'm now at the venue. As you can probably tell, I already unloaded all of my things that I brought for this week, which were just like restocks and all of my plushies, because I ended up taking those home. And I'm filming on my phone, as you can probably tell, because my camera is inside already. I ended up unloading right in front of the venue. I got lucky with that. They hadn't put up the things yet that you can't drive like into the venue, so I got super lucky, but I had to really speed up with that. And now I only have 20 minutes until the market starts, so I'm kind of stressed, as you can probably tell. So I really need to get back into the venue and yeah, set up for this week. I will try and take you guys along for that. it's going to be a little stressful in the next 20 minutes, but we will see what happens. And yeah, then we will have market day 1 for this weekend.
Everybody knows Christmas is coming. Thank one and all. Time to hang your stockings, baby, and have yourself a ball. People all over this big world, they're getting ready to play. Kissing under the mistletoe and rocking the night away. So let's dance, baby. Let's swing.
Alright, it's now 4, so the market has been going on for 2 hours, and it's kind of busier than last week. I will show you the full setup at the end of this market day, because it was super stressful to set up this whole booth, and I was kind of late for everything, so that was stressful. But for now, it's actually busier this Friday, for me at least, than last weekend, so off to a good start, some sales. And yeah, I'm working on some chicks to restock some of those, because I currently don't have any left. So that is what's going on. It's now almost the end of day 1, and the afternoon was super slow as I checked in the first time with you guys, but then in the evening it kind of picked up quite a lot. So we ended up doing, I think, pretty good sales. I think even like a little over what I did last week on Friday, which is a good thing for this weekend. So we will see what will happen next. We're about to close up here, so I'm just basically packing my bag, which I will take home. I will also take some empty boxes with me as well, turn off the lights, and then we are ready for market day 2. But before that, I will finally show you my booth setup for this weekend. I still haven't gotten to that part, so let me show you my setup. It's basically the same as last weekend, and I ended up keeping up with having my 2 types of products very like mixed together, because that ended up working out pretty well last weekend. So I think I will keep doing that for now for this weekend, but let me show you. Good morning, friends. Sorry for the crazy sunlight. I can't really figure out a way in which you could see me any better, but I am in my car, as you can probably tell, and I'm already at the venue for day 2 of this market weekend. So it's 10 minutes to 12 and the market starts at 12. So that's like really nice about having a long market like this. You kind of arrive very late to the market every day. You don't really need to set up anything. It's like very comfortable. I can leave at 8 once the market ends today and be out of the venue like 10 minutes after the market closes. So that is very nice, and I really like this, so that is a good thing. I did bring some more packing materials today, like bags and then tissue paper for my candles, since I'm almost out of that. And yeah, I counted out my sales for yesterday, and yesterday was actually slightly better than the first week at this market, like the first week Friday at this market. I had a couple more sales and I also made a little bit more revenue, but more on that a little later in the video with the market breakdown. But most of my sales ended up happening in the final hour of the market, so like from 7 to 8, which I think makes sense because it's a Friday, people are getting off of work and then heading out to a market like that. So I kind of wish that on Friday the market would start like a little later and run a little longer, like something like 4 to 9 or something like that, instead of 2 to 8. So yeah, that is just something I found out when looking at my sales from yesterday. I'm really excited for today. I'm getting really comfortable with my setup now. That was like a huge issue last week because I kind of have to step around my table and be a lot more like active with my customers than usually, and that kind of felt very uncomfortable in the beginning, but now I'm feeling like I have it figured out. So we shall see if that works out again today and how Market Day 2 does. Hey friends, I'm finally getting the time to check in with you guys. It has been pretty busy today. I'm excited to see if this week was better on Saturday than last week. At least that's what I have a feeling it was like. I saw quite a lot of bigger plushies, lots of candles, and overall I just have so much to do, not only for tomorrow, but then I also have another Christmas market which is 9 days long. So I definitely have a lot of work to do, but we have around an hour and a half left after market day, and then I will have to do quite a lot of work tonight as well. But overall, such a good market day today. Good morning, friends. It's now day 3 of this market. As you can probably tell, I'm yet again in my car. So I'm at the venue now. It's around 5 minutes until the market starts. I feel like I haven't taken you guys along very well for this market weekend. It's been honestly kind of stressful, but like so rewarding because my stress mostly comes from almost selling out of my plushies yesterday, which is pretty stressful. So I ended up making and finishing up quite a lot of plushies last night. So I have a whole bag of plushies next to me, which I will go ahead and restock today. And then I worked on some more plushies last night and this morning. For example, I am mostly finishing up a hoodie bear today because yesterday actually like a fight almost broke out between two sisters on who would get the hoodie bear. So I definitely wanted to have at least one of them at the market today again. I would like to have more because they've been so popular, but yeah, I didn't really have time to make any more than I already did. I also took my stuffing to the market today to be able to finish up all of the works in progresses I currently have. I have quite a lot of penguin bodies that I started to work on yesterday, which I would like and I need to finish today because I only have a singular one in the black and gray left, so that is not enough. So I would like to finish those up today and yeah, just restock as much as I can and yeah, hopefully have a good final market day at this venue. I'm so excited. Tonight we will tear down and I think it will be way easier than setting up because I will have way less stuff. So let's get into the venue. As I said, am running late yet again, and I will show you the booth for day 3. It's kind of picked over, so yeah, but yeah, we will have a good market day and yeah, hopefully close out this market in a really good way. Hey friends, I'm now back from the market. As you can probably tell, it's now after work on Wednesday, so a couple days have passed since the market, but I wanted to check in with you guys, give you a little bit of a recap of last weekend's market, which was the second to last market of 2025. I only have one more coming up, which doesn't sound a lot, but it's a 9-day market event. So this week is crazy busy already again, so stay tuned for that. But I wanted to close out this market vlog with a recap like we've been doing all year. So the market was the same market that I also did the last weekend. So the weekend before that was the first half of the market, and then this was the second weekend of this event. So that was really nice. I got to leave all of my stuff there. I left all of my shelves standing and like the bare bones of my setup you kind of saw in the footage. That's why there wasn't really a setup for this week because most of it was already standing. The only thing that I did do last weekend to like close up the booth was I took down all of my inventory, all of my products. I took home all of my plushies because I didn't want to leave them there. And then my candles I stored away in my boxes, which I always take them in. And I stored them like under the second table I had kind of like at the back of my booth because I didn't want to carry them around. They're kind of heavy, so I felt like this was safe enough. They did lock up the venue, but there was like some vendors that switched between the first and the second weekend, and they were able to get into the venue on, I think it was on Thursday, to like start setting up. So there was some traffic in the venue while we weren't there. So that is why I kind of took like some safety measures, but I didn't go like all out and took everything home. So that was like really nice. What did end up happening in the week between the two markets, which I didn't really expect, was I ended up selling quite a lot of candles. I had so many orders come in over the course of like the first week of December. So that was unexpected, but I was super happy about that. I ended up getting 7 orders, which totaled to around 20-ish candles. So I ended up making some of those again, and then I also pulled some from the stock which I had left at the market. So I was only able to send them out just this week because I didn't really think that was going to happen. But yeah, really exciting things happening there. And then on Friday, I kind of got to the market just a little later than I had planned to. So I only had 20 minutes to set up all of my products again, which was kind of stressful, but I ended up doing that. And then also like on Friday, the market started again at 2, and like it wasn't super busy right at 2 because most people are still at work or like in school. So it wasn't go, go, go from the very start of the market. So that was pretty nice. I got to finish up some plushies and everything on Friday. And what ended up happening for this weekend, let me just say, I ended up doing better on every single day of the market. So I did a little better on Friday than I did the week before. I did a little better on Saturday as I did the week before, and then same on Sunday. So overall, this weekend was more profitable than the first weekend. And what was really nice is that I had already like made back my booth fee on the first weekend, and then quite a lot of profit already on the first weekend. So I went into this market knowing that my booth fee was already paid off. So everything I was making there was profit, except for like material costs and everything, but you know what I mean. Parking was also free, which is really nice and not always the case, so no costs there. And then the final thing I want to mention before getting into the numbers is that by now I feel like I am really comfortable with the booth setup I had at this market. Last weekend I was kind of like unsure and very uncomfortable with the setup because it was kind of like narrow and to the back, and I kind of had to step around the little table that I had at the back where my banner was on, which I would have like all of my stuff and my checkout behind. When people were like browsing and looking at my products, I couldn't really chat with them like from behind my table because the booth was so far to the back. So I kind of had to step around my table and like really interact with the customers, really approach them. And on the first weekend, I was still very uncomfortable with it. But by now, I feel like after 6 days of selling in a setup like that, I got very comfortable with that. I now have some standard conversation starters and all of that like really figured out, I feel like, and it was way more comfortable. I felt like I didn't really scare off any people by approaching them and talking to them directly while they were shopping at the end of the market. So that is really good, and I think that really will help me in the long run, that I have kind of like figured that out a little more. I won't have to worry about that at the next market because I'm going back to the first winter market I did this year. So I will only have a 4-foot table setup, which is very tiny and a whole nother different challenge. But I won't have to like step around the table a whole ton, at least I don't think. So yeah, but still a very good thing to figure out. Okay, so let's get straight into some of the numbers of this market before I will tell you some more about my bestsellers at this event. So I kind of split it up between the 3 days. So on Friday, I ended up having 28 orders, and selling 46 items, which I think is pretty good, and it was just a little more than the weekend before. And I feel like for a Friday, that's actually really nice because the market was only 6 hours long and it ended at 8. So like people who are working really only had like 2 or 3 hours to shop. So I think 28 orders is pretty good. And then on Saturday, I had 46 orders and I sold 63 items. And then on Sunday, it was yet again the busiest day. That kind of ends up happening for pretty much all of my markets, that people really come out on Sundays because stores are closed. There's not a ton else to do. So people really show up on Sundays. And I feel like really my target audience really shows up on Sundays because usually they're working, they're younger, they might have kids, or they might be very young themselves still. So they usually have quite a lot going on Saturdays, running errands and all of that. So they have more time on Sundays to come out and shop at a market. At least that's what I've figured out by now with doing all of these markets this year, that Sunday will usually be the busiest day. So I had 53 orders on Sunday and I sold 78 items for a total of 127 orders, and I sold a total of 187 items, which is a crazy number, and I'm so grateful for that. And in total at this market, I ended up making 2,564 euros, so almost 200 euros more than the first weekend at this venue. So pretty good. I feel like also people are really getting into the Christmas spirit and really wanting to check out Christmas markets. So that might have played a role as well with the numbers. And then I always like to kind of split up my profit into my different product types. So for my candles, they were the biggest seller this weekend. I made 1,433 euros in candles, which is pretty good because I can replenish those way quicker than my plushies, which were the second most profit I made. So I sold 1,116 euros worth of plushies, so still pretty much. And I really have to restock for my crazy long market that is coming up. And then I also sold 3 scrunchies for 5 euros each, so I made 15 euros in scrunchies. And yet again at this market, I didn't sell any of my wristlets, so that was really not the target audience for those. None sold in all 6 market days, which has never happened before, so that feels kind of crazy. But at least I sold quite a good amount of scrunchies over the course of the 2 weekends, so that's pretty good. That's like some old stock that I'm trying to kind of like sell off. And yeah, a couple of them sold this weekend. So that were the types of products, and that is really good because, as I said, I can replenish my candles quicker, and I'm currently working on it. I'm kind of like behind you. There's like 200 candle vessels set up, which I will pour this week in preparation for my crazy long market, and I think I might need to make even more than that, but we will see. So yeah, that is a really good split between my product types, at least in my opinion. But still, I wanted to give you my plushie bestsellers because I know that most of you are interested in that mostly. So actually I didn't really have 5 bestsellers, I had 6 because I ended up selling the same amount for a couple of different types of plushies at this market. So I guess in number 3 that would be, we have my turtles, which haven't been in the best-selling list for quite a while, and I sold 7 of them for 16 euros each. And then, very surprisingly, in the same place are my baby octos. I only sold 7 of them at this market, which is crazy because they have been such a bestseller, and having them on the bottom of the bestseller list hasn't been happening in a while. So I sold 7 of them for 6 euros each. And then in number 2, we have another very common bestseller. We have my baby whales, where I sold 11 off for 6 euros each as well. And I really have to restock those. I think I have like 8 of them left, which is nowhere near enough for my crazy long market. And then in number 1, we have a 3-way split between 3 different types of plushies. So first of all, we have, of course, my baby penguins, and they have been so popular. I literally only have 2 left after this market, one in pink and one in orange. So those were kind of like the colors that stuck around the longest. So I won't be making any of those anymore, but like the blue and the 2 turquoise tones, and then also the purple were super popular. So I will be replenishing those in the future. I sold 12 of those for €6 each. And then I also sold 12 of these other 2 types of plushies. So the other #1 bestseller were my regular size penguins, so the slightly bigger stress ball version. And I counted all of them, so regular looking ones and then the colorful ones, which were blue and purple. And I sold 12 of them, as I said, for €10 each. They have been so popular, especially since I market them as stress ball birds, and people really like that. And a lot of people ended up buying those for like colleagues and like little work gifts to like have them on their desk as stress balls. So that is a very good marketing strategic, I think. And then the other bestseller were my cats. I also sold 12 of those for €14 each, and I ended up selling so many on Friday that on Saturday I took all of the yarn colors to work on lots more different cats, and I ended up making I think 8 or 9 of them, of the bodies. And then I frantically finished up all of those Saturday night because I literally only had like 2 or 3 left at the end of Saturday, and I replenished those, and now I went home with only 3 cats left in my inventory. So they were such a bestseller, and I'm really glad I worked on those on Saturday and finished those up because I ended up selling quite a lot of those on Sunday. And then also some honorable mentions of this market. It was really good at this market. I ended up clearing out quite a lot of like old inventory, like one-off items that I made either for pattern tests or like for some video ideas or something. I had accumulated quite a lot of one-off plushies over the course of basically the whole year, and I ended up selling quite a lot of those at this market, which is great because, as you know, at my next market I will only have like a very limited space, so I wouldn't be able to display a lot of different like one-off types of plushies without it looking like super cluttered. So I'm glad I was able to clear out the ballerina, my sheep, my crocodile, my bigger turtle, which I had made a while ago, and then like a random little bear that I had made a while ago. So quite a lot of those sold. And now, first of all, I will have a more organized table at my long market. And then also I have some space to work on some new projects in the new year, which I'm really excited about. But overall, this was such a cool experience to have a long market like this, 6 days over the course of 2 different weekends. I had never done something like that, and I honestly really enjoyed it. It was pretty stressful because I did have to work in between the 2 weekends, which kind of made things a little interesting, but overall I really enjoyed the experience, and I honestly can't wait for my other long market. So stay tuned for the prep and of course the market. And thank you guys so much for hanging out with me all the way until the end of this video. I will see you guys again next week for another video. So until then, bye!